Hello and welcome to Mayhem with your host, May May.
Hi there. Well, today's the last week in July, and today we're going to wrap up our talk about faith. So I wanted to start with something that has given me nothing but pure joy in the past week since I heard about this passage in the Bible. It is Ecclesiastes 1, and it starts like this. The words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I really, really love that passage because everything is not meaningless, but it could be meaningless. Today we're talking about religion versus agnostic versus atheism. So religious means you believe in God, you believe in Jesus, you go to church. Agnostic believes you believe in a God, not necessarily a structured God, but you believe in a spiritual being, and atheism is you believe in nothing. So this passage in the Bible that talks about how meaningless everything is just so perfect for this, because I'm reading the book of the Bible right now, and I'm really, my God, it brings me so much joy. I was stuck in the doldrums of Paul and his teachings and his letters, and oh my God, that man and I would not get along if I met him. But Solomon, who wrote Ecclesiastes, I would get along with him just fine, because he talks about how everything is meaningless unless you have some kind of spirituality. Now, I'm not saying that people who believe in atheism believe that everything is meaningless. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that for me, having a belief in a higher power brings meaning into my life. Otherwise, what am I working so hard for? Why am I trying to be a good person? Why don't I just go off and do whatever I want? The fact that there are people who believe that their money and their wealth can bring more power than their spirituality and loving other people, brings a lot of hopelessness into this world, which is what we're facing right now. But for people like me who get pure joy out of the Bible shouting at you that everything is meaningless, it makes me smile. I had a dream the other day about a rose, and there's a rose in this dream, or not a vision. There's a rose right in front of me, but I was wearing rose-colored glasses, which means I was wearing these glasses where everything was rosy and peachy and pretty looking, and everything was nice. I wasn't seeing any of the negativity in the world, which gives things their shape, their depth, their value. I was just seeing the rose-colored aspect of everything. I can't smell. I've never been able to smell, so I couldn't smell the rose. And because I was so afraid of the thorns of the rose, I couldn't feel the softness of it either. So the question there being, if you're wearing rose-colored glasses, if you can't smell and if you're afraid of the thorn, is there a rose at all? That was kind of a thought exercise that I played with myself for a little while, because that's faith. Knowing that there's a rose there, even if you can't see it, even if you can't touch it, even if you can't feel it, even if you can't smell it, knowing that it's there. Is that enough? I think it is. I wanted to talk a little bit about charisma and how a charismatic leader has more power than a smart or intelligent leader. Because if this person has charisma and people are flocking to him because of his personality, not necessarily because of his knowledge base, in history we've seen that they have more power. Cult leaders are very charismatic people, because when you read about cult leaders and their beliefs later on, you're like, whoa, how did he get people to believe that? It's charisma. One of the questions is, I guess a thought exercise would be, how much charisma did Jesus have? Obviously, he had quite a bit. He got people to leave their lives and follow him. He got people, so many people, they had to stand on a beach, and he had to go on a boat just to be able to talk to everybody. But he was also a trickster, and he was also very, very funny. And so, he also wasn't so serious as everybody makes him out to be. There's a lot of hypocrisy in religion. That's why I don't follow religion, because who you are on Sunday morning is not who you are the rest of the time. And there's a lot of hypocrisy in the Bible. But that doesn't mean that the Bible doesn't have things that bring you pure joy, or things that make you stop and be like, oh, well, that's what that meant. Or ideas that make you rethink what you're doing and who you are. That's the point of the Bible. The point of the Bible isn't to be true. The point of the Bible is to make you think. But religion does have that I miss, because I was very religious growing up as community. I didn't have any community growing up. Or I had a very, very strong church community growing up. I went to all the church camps. I remember going to Vegas and sleeping in a great big room with sleeping bags with all the way across the room. I remember going up to Mingus Mountain and going to camp there. I remember so many fun, valuable times going to church growing up and having that community around me, that it is one of the singular most important things that I am missing in my life right now, because I have not found a church home. In 20 years, I haven't found a home in a church that I feel like I'm at home, because I am so worried about the hypocrisy. I'm so worried about the leaders. I am so worried about finding somebody who moves me, but at the same time believes that women have a place in the church beyond just going to the church, or that the Bible isn't 100% true. There are some really moving faith leaders out there, but I have yet to find a church where I feel at home in. So I think that's going to be my next season of life. I'm going to find a church that I want to go to, and if not, well, I'll figure it out from there. I want to have a church community where we have Wednesday night dinners, where I know that I'm going to be bringing this dish to the potluck, where I have a family to go see on Christmas Eve and to worship the same God and to sing together. I miss that. But as of right now, I'm not religious. I'm just agnostic. And maybe someday I'll be able to find that community again, even if it's not a church, even if it's just a group of people who like to get together and worship. You know, like a coven, or I don't even know, just something where people can get together and worship the same God is what I miss. So the book I want to talk about isn't necessarily a book. It's a character in the book that really brought religion and this idea of religion to the forefront for me this week. The book is The Wanderers by Chuck Wendig, and I may or may not have talked about this one before, but it's basically about a plague that hits the United States, followed quickly by another plague. One plague is not that deadly. It basically turns people into robots, where they just walk, and they don't stop, they don't go to the bathroom, they don't eat. They're just like in a vegetative state where they're just walking for hundreds and hundreds of miles. While this is going on, there is a disease that is completely wiping out population as we know it. And so in this world where some people are walkers, some people aren't, he took a whole bunch of different characters. Like he took a pastor, and he took a cult leader, and he took one of the girl's sisters who's walking. And then later on, he took the girl who's walking. He took all these people, and he wrote a book about them. And the one character that I wanted to talk about this week was, his name's Otis. And he is basically a cult leader. He has talked people out of their money. He has built a compound in the middle of nowhere. He has followers who will work themselves to death for him. And he has almighty power over the presence and the people of the United States. And he is a scary dude. And, but if you listen to him, he sounds right. He sounds righteous. He sounds like one of those people who has it going on and knows what's going on and has his thumb on the pulse. But then when he kidnaps the pastor and talks to him in private, it's backwards. And he's like, I'm just doing this for this reason. And he's a total hypocrite. And I think that it shows the beauty and the power of charisma better than anything else. And when you go to church and when you want to be religious and everything, those are the type of people that you want to watch out for. Because they're going to talk to you in sweet paragraphs, and they're going to tell you things that you want to hear. And then they're going to turn around and do something different. And I think that there's a lot of that going on in the society today. There was a podcast that I was listening to this morning that talked about how we are living in a dystopian nation right now. And I do think that there is some value and some truth to that statement, because the leadership and the people that we have in the government right now are scary. And it's going to take a lot of work to change it. So pray or don't pray, believe or don't believe, but just know that faith in an idea that there's something better, not to be an asshole, just to do good, do unto others as you would have to do unto yourself. That's going to be enough to get us through this next little bit. So, next week's August. August is about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not easy, and forgiveness sucks. So, let's get into that. Thank you so much, and have a good day.